Welcome back, Ronin Renegades. I'm Lupine Fiasco, this is Daily FaB Gameplay, and I am pleased to be able to bring you a game against Kayo, Armed and Dangerous. For anyone who is new to the channel, welcome to the Resistance. What we do here is review replays of games that I played on the Talishar client days or weeks ago, after enough time has passed that I lose my bias, and can more objectively judge the quality of my play. I will talk through turn cycles and give my thoughts on the lines I would take now, then compare that to the line I took then at the time of recording. We either learn from my mistakes or reinforce good play patterns with the overall goal of tightening and optimizing our gameplay in the future to take down paper events like ProQuests or Road to Nationals, and most importantly, walk away with that shiny cardboard. If you would like to check out the list I'm playing here or try it for yourself on Talishar, the FaB deck link is in the video description below. While you're down there, if you haven't already done so, please consider subscribing to my channel. A YouTube subscription is the best free way to support me and to make sure that you see daily FaB gameplay in your video feed 5 days a week. If you'd like to go above and beyond, then the best paid way to support me is through Patreon, and a Patreon link is also in the video description. A Patreon subscription will get you access to the DFG Discord. At higher tier levels, your name will be featured in every DFG video, you will get bonus content every week, and there are even more benefits to come. Daily FaB gameplay will always be free 5 days a week, so for those who can afford to patronize me, I truly appreciate it. Let's talk about our sideboard and some initial thoughts on Kayo. This is a series of games that I played against my testing partner, Tommy. We can say that Kayo, Berserker Runt, is all grown up and looking like a really cool alternative to FaB. My initial impression of the hero would be that he's just another coin flip matchup. If either hero is favored, that's minimal compared to the advantage of drawing your good cards first, and largely that does seem to be the case, but Kayo has some neat tricks cooking, and they're going to put us at that disadvantage. The hero itself generates value by discarding cards, which is generally suboptimal for winning a race. But Brute has been flipping disadvantages on their heads for years, and Kayo is no exception. Kayo's deck is full of effects that keep them card neutral despite discarding from hand, as well as cards that trigger effects from discarding while also triggering Kayo. He has cards that benefit from the draw and from agility tokens, as well as a number of 2-card 8s to apply pressure after blocking, and 2-card arsenal destruction effects that only get better with might. Overall, Kayo is a versatile hero that can make use of any number of cards in hand, and I don't have much to say about beating the Brute outside of do draw Art of War and don't not draw Art of War. My testing partner Tommy wanted to try playing against Mask of Momentum. I'm also going to test the hypothesis that the value of tenacity goes way down if we can't tutor it with pouncing links, and that Command and Conquer is good disruption against any aggro deck. So let's see if the threat of 5 Intellect FaB is enough to get us the win. We've chosen to go second. I do think that is going to be correct in this matchup, though it is worth noting that Kayo does have high roll potential on turn 1 with Agile Windup and Cast Bones as a way to generate value for his second turn. Here we see the power of the Windup cards. They generate agility or might based on which Windup is discarded, while also triggering Kayo's effect to make a might token. We'll just block the Mandible Claw. Thankfully we draw into a blue, so our hand here is looking really solid. We'll just throw our entire hand at Kayo. We're hoping that he'll put some armor in front of Mounting Anger to open the door for Snatch. But something that's so great about Kayo is the equipment loadout. Scab Skins block 3, the new Brute Gloves block 3, Scowling Flesh Flag blocks 2, but has the ability to really interfere with our strong turns. We get lucky and win the clash against Kayo. That really shouldn't happen very often, but we're going to put it to our advantage. We also know that we have a Snatch on top of the deck, which is likely the best card that we could have with agility. Snatch is great. Enlightened Strike is great. Kayo is going to use that to his advantage as well. It's worth noting too that agility gives go again to any attack, which also works with the Ember Blade if we were in a situation like this, where, say for example, we let this Command and Conquer hit. We aren't going to, we are going to block this. But let's say we let it hit, and we don't have a way to start our turn while also getting full value out of our hand. We could attack with this Brand with Cinderclaw and follow up with the Lava Vein Loyalty, but what if we wanted to get a little more damage out of this turn? We could pitch our Brand with Cinderclaw to the Ember Blade, which doesn't have its own Go Again effect, but does get Go Again from the agility. That now gives Lava Vein Loyalty Go Again. So agility is going to be really cool. It isn't something that Ninja will have very often, but when we win the odd clash against Brute or Warrior, it can really affect the power of our turns. We do want to block this Command and Conquer. We would like to get the agility effect on our Snatch. We also just don't want to take that much damage. Now Swing Big here, we are happy to block, that's fine. As far as sequencing this turn with our agility effect, I like leading with Enlightened Strike. Let's get our draw, we'll see what we have available, and we can attack with Snatch if we want to. Now here, I don't like attacking with Snatch because if the Snatch doesn't hit, then I don't want Blue Brand with Cinderclaw in my arsenal. We still have Snapdragons available, so I would like to have this Snatch. We're just going to attack with the Ember Blade. Kayo here playing Cast Bones thankfully misses the Cast Bones effect of generating agility, but it is still a 1-card 5 that leaves Kayo with an arsenal. We're in some real trouble. But we do get to fire off a big turn here. Now, unfortunately, based on the armor that Kayo has available, we can't really sequence this turn in a way that would be great. We can do a bit. The issue is we either throw our Brand with Cinderclaw, our Blaze Headlong here, and it gets covered by either all of Kayo's armor or armor and a card from hand. Then our follow-up is Phoenix Flame Emberblade Snatch, and our Snatch now has a double draw trigger, which we really don't want it to have. We would love to have a draw trigger, then Snatch. The other way we could sequence this turn is by attacking with Phoenix Flame, and if we attack with Phoenix Flame, then we have no cards in our hand, and Kayo doesn't get value out of the Scowling Flesh Bag. But if we just attack with Phoenix Flame, that's an easy block with Scabskin Leathers, and we don't get our Mask of Momentum, so it's kind of a bad situation for us. Weirdly, we're going to push a lot of damage this turn. We already have gotten a good amount of damage. This Blaze Headlong is threatening 5, but we could really get more value out of this turn with slightly different cards, so it's a little unfortunate that Emberblade just can't go as wide on these turns as Kadachi's can. Blaze Headlong gets covered by the armor. We are going to lose our Phoenix Flame to the Flesh Bag effect. We'll get it back at the end of our turn. We'll pitch this Phoenix Flame for Emberblade to get a little more damage on this turn, but we can actually talk in just a bit about why that might not have been correct. That said, we are attacking with Snatch. We're going to take a risk and snap it here. We draw Spreading Flames, which is unfortunate considering that we don't have the resources to pay for it. But with Kayo having such a stacked hand, we know that he has a Command and Conquer, we know that he has a Blood Rush Bellows, we know that we're about to take a ton of damage with multiple Arsenal Destruction effects. I was hoping to high roll a finisher, or at least something playable off the top of the deck. It isn't meant to be. I'm going to choose to arsenal my Spreading Flames here, but I actually think I should have arsenaled the Phoenix Flame so that that Command and Conquer that we saw doesn't threaten our Spreading Flames, it threatens our Phoenix Flame, which goes to discard anyway. Kayo, of course, getting his big Blood Rush Bellow turn with 5 might already on the table. Rising Speed here coming in for 12 with Go Again, which is already just absurd. That's so good. Kayo still has the action point, so we'll see what the follow-up can be. Claw coming in for 5. Again, we aren't going to block it. It's funny, at the start of this turn, I had actually been saying to Tommy, why am I so high on life? Why do I have 32? What happened this game? And well, we're seeing what happened this game is Kayo was able to take a bunch of damage to crack back with this. A 30 damage Blood Rush Bellow turn that ends on Send Packing, which if this hits, not only do we take 8 damage, but we lose our Spreading Flames. So we really do want that Spreading Flames, right? If we just take 8 here, we keep all of our armor, but what are we doing with this turn? We brand with Cinderclaw, we Emberblade, we Phoenix Flame, we Salt the Wound, which is fine. It's a reasonable turn. We could reasonably expect to do 13 damage if Kayo doesn't block, but 13 damage isn't lethal. 13 damage gets a card out of Kayo's hand, and then he can crack back, and we're at an effective 7. So I would like to block this Send Packing, and I'm going to do so with my Armor Suite and my Salt the Wound. We cover the damage, we get our Spreading Flames back, and we can still set up something good on our turn. I do want to briefly talk about the difference between putting Spreading Flames and Phoenix Flame into the arsenal. So, I still believe it would have been correct to put Phoenix Flame into the arsenal instead of Spreading Flames to play around the possibility of Command and Conquer. But here's the thing about Send Packing compared to CNC. Send Packing would banish our arsenal, which is the Phoenix Flame. If the Send Packing hits, the Phoenix Flame stays in Banish, and because we pitched our other Phoenix Flame to the Emberblade, we would not have a Phoenix Flame in the discard, which turns off our hero power. So I almost think that against Kayo, it's going to be correct, more often than not, to leave your second Phoenix Flame in the discard so that you don't just lose it to a Send Packing. It's a really weird, nuanced situation, but in that specific instance where we knew that we were going to get a Phoenix Flame back at the end of our turn, I think that playing it instead of pitching it is actually correct. Now, it's a tough call. We would have lost out on 2 damage that turn, but it would have given us more options to just take more of this damage and possibly keep our Salt the Wound, which would have been a really strong card to have at the end of this turn. But I digress. We'll get back into it. We are just going to fire off this Spreading Flames. Without a Phoenix Flame in discard, this turn won't be nearly as strong, right? We're going to push some decent damage. Our Spreading Flames is effectively 1 for 5, as it is going to give the damage buff to the Phoenix Flame and the Brand with Cinderclaw. We are threatening lethal, even just a little bit. We get a card out of Kayo. You see me forget that I don't have a Phoenix Flame in discard and attempt to activate my hero, which thankfully doesn't cost me anything, aside from a little dignity. Draw into what is kind of a weird hand. It's definitely playable, but it isn't the real explosive 3-card hand that makes me think that we can do blocking here and still win a game. We're going to put our Salt the Wound in front of Mandible Claw to not be dead. And on our turn, we're going to do a little math. So we have 2 lines. The first is we play Art of War. We pitch our Brand with Cinderclaw, we banish our Command and Conquer, we draw 2 cards, we hope that one of them is a starter. The other line is we play Brand with Cinderclaw, and if Kayo doesn't block it, then we play Art of War, pitching Command and Conquer to give our Brand +1 power. If the brand gets blocked, we have an out, which is to pitch Art of War to attack with Emberblade. Then we pitch Command and Conquer to FaB to pick up and play our Phoenix Flame. The problem with that is Kayo blocks the Emberblade with a card from hand, and being at 2 life, doesn't need to block the Phoenix Flame, so he keeps a 3-card hand, goes to 1, and very likely kills us. If Kayo didn't have armor, if he didn't have 1 point of block left on his arms, I would attack with Brand and try to sneak an extra point of damage in there. But because he has the arms, and I know Tommy has played FaB, Tommy knows to expect the extra point of power from a sneaky Art of War, we are going to lead with it. You see me checking my discard there for the starter count left in my deck. Thankfully, we do draw into a starter. Flamecall Awakening is enough to get this chain started. The Searing Emberblade is going to get another card out of Kayo, and Phoenix Flame from discard for 2 is going to be enough to get a 3rd card. So we leave Kayo on 1 card, likely pitching into Mandible Claw, which will attack for 5 because of the 2 Might tokens. Kayo just has such absurd value on any number of cards in hand if he is consistently triggering his hero ability, and I think he's going to be able to trigger it really often. We block the Claw with a Lava Burst. We go to 1, which is never where we want to be against Brute. A Reckless Swing here kills us. Something to keep in mind is KO lists are not quite sorted out yet. Some of them aren't running Reckless Swing because it is a non-attack action, which doesn't work well with KO's hero power or with any of the draw, discard, a 6-power attack effects. But the other thing to consider is that we need to go to 1 here to try and win the game. So luckily, we don't get Reckless Swung that turn. We'll see if we're going to eat a Reckless this turn. It looks like no. Test of Agility here is winning the Clash for KO, but we should be able to go wide enough this turn that it really doesn't matter. Our Mounting Anger is going to get a card from KO's hand, our Phoenix Flame is going to get a card from KO's hand, and our Snatch should get the win. If this is a Sink Below in KO's arsenal, that prolongs the game. We know that whatever it is a red. It didn't pitch for Mandible Claw. Very likely it's a Pulping or a Wild Ride that didn't block. I'm a little unhappy with myself from recording this game. I wish that I had thought to switch the player stats. I'd like to see how much value Kayo was getting per turn, because I had noticed that even in these games that I was winning, Kayo was outvaluing me because of how well his cards block, because of the Might tokens, because of agility tokens extending Kayo's turn. The hero really is very cool and very terrifying, and yet I also really want to play him. He looks awesome, and I'd really like to put the deck through its paces. This list was in no way tuned, but I still only went 3-2 at the end of the testing session. Now, I do think I could have tightened my sideboarding. I think that Mask of Momentum will still be the suboptimal mask in the heavy hitters meta, outside of your Dromai matchup, and I think that Command and Conquer was very clearly bad in this game, and Command and Conquer was very clearly bad in every game I played against Kayo. Kayo just does so well off of a 4-card hand that being able to get that card out of Arsenal, if there even is a card in Arsenal, which there very often wasn't, just isn't good. It doesn't have that explosive turn-ending potential that you get against a FaB or a Katsu when you snipe their Art of War or their starter from Arsenal. Kayo just seems to do so well with the cards he has in hand. Heartened Crossstrap functions as a 5th card for being able to pay for a Swing Big, or as we saw, Ascend packing with just 1 resource. So I think that Mask of the Pouncing Lynx will still be the ideal mask. I think that the 60 we have boarded into my default list on FaB is going to be the 60 we play. Sometimes Tenacity just blocks 3, sometimes it just pitches for sword, but sometimes you have a big Art of War turn, Kayo puts the entire equipment suite in front of you, and you can Tenacity for 7 or 8. You can fetch it with Pouncing Links after they just blocked your Salt the Wound. I think that FaB has a decent matchup into Kayo, but that the disruption and the flexibility offered by Kayo is really appealing, and I think Kayo is going to have a great spot in the meta. What will separate him from FaB and what might pull me towards Kayo in the RTN season or even the Calling Los Angeles is how well he deals with Guardian and Warrior, and that is something that I haven't seen yet. I do hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you learned something. If so, be sure to head jab that like button. My comments are always open for questions or feedback. If you haven't already done so, I would ask you again to please subscribe to my channel. It's free, it's a great way to support me, but whether you do or don't, I will see you back here tomorrow for more daily FaB gameplay. And until then, take care.